Welcome to another episode of the Well Life Podcast. Here we have one of our in-between episodes where we're going to kind of dive in specifically to one topic. Today, as we get to summer and people are thinking about weight loss and cutting and having to be maybe in a bathing suit for summer, wanted to talk about some of the fads in dieting, one specifically. We're going to kind of touch on a little bit of intermittent fasting and then also kind of how you can better maybe set yourself up for success to lean out or to be in a calorie deficit. And maybe the answer is not just intermittent fasting.
Yeah. I know we have two different standpoints on it just in our own experiences and like our own preferences.
But I think the overarching
is the same because things need to be tended to regardless of whether you choose to intermittent fast or not. But I think the 3 points we want to address is, right, what reason are you fasting for? What's your goal? Are you eating enough? Are you eating too little? Right? Yep. Those 3 main points, because it's very common to fall into the negative side of intermittent fasting, where intermittent fasting, pure definition, right, is basically putting yourself into a certain window to eat. The rest of the time, you're not eating. But more of like while you're awake and living, you're not eating, right? You're designating time. Obviously, everyone's fasting while they sleep, and then they eat during the day, right? Normal rhythm of eating, breakfast, lunch, dinner, obviously. Fasting might push it to 12 p.m., so you're only eating from 12 maybe to 8 p.m. is the classic 16 off, 8 hour on, right? We talk about that because it gives people a pretty good perspective to say, I want to cut calories, and it's an easy way to cut a full meal out, cut a third or a fourth of their calories out, right? And eat the residual remaining bulk of calories in that window. For some people it works, for my schedule, and for me preferably, right, it can be a cool way, which I've seen to stimulate a little bit of a quicker loss of weight in a short week period, right? But you have to do it correctly if you choose to do it. I feel better sometimes not eating early. Some days I don't want to eat early. Feels good not to have food in my system, just to have some coffee in my system or something like that for the first few hours of the day. I'm also sometimes up and in the studio from 5:30 and training straight right until 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So might not have a chance to get a meal in, and also might not choose to, right? So
I think that's a good way to start it, right? It's like why would someone intermittent fast? A lot of times, especially this time of year, right, as we're getting into summer, as I mentioned, we get it because people want it purely for weight loss.
Yep.
Right, because they think that it's going to be the best way for them to lose weight. And I think that to one end of that, sure, it could be a good way for you to lose weight, and that's going to be because you're cutting out an entire meal from your day.
Just caloric standpoint.
So just from a caloric standpoint, it's you're putting yourself in an easier place to take calories out of your day. Mm-hmm. So if you do that consistently, sure, you should get yourself into a calorie deficit, and you should lose weight, right? Yep. If all things kind of stay the same in your life. So if you remove that 400, 500 calories that you had for breakfast, all right, if you do that for a month, you should see weight loss. But it's just people understanding that that's all that's kind of happening there. Yep. I mean, at a base level, that's all that's happening there. Yep. So you could achieve this plenty of different ways. Like you're saying that you like to maybe wait till 12 because one, it works for your schedule. You like the way your body feels when you're doing it. Maybe you feel some mental clarity. But if you're on the other end of that and you don't like that, right? You don't like the way it feels. You like to eat breakfast. Don't deprive yourself of breakfast just because you think intermittent fasting is the answer, because it doesn't have to be the answer. Just finding yourself in a caloric deficit would be the answer if your goal is weight loss, right? It's kind of understanding that intermittent fasting is at its base level no more than just a calorie deficit. It's just how you're doing it. So if your goal is to get rid of 400 to 500 calories, you can do that over the course of 3 meals and snacks. Yeah. Right. So if you had 700 calorie meals, now if I need to get to a 400 calorie deficit, I need to remove some of that. So I'm going 150 from each meal, right, or 100, a little over 100 calories from each one of those meals. Now I've got that. I've gotten there already. That is my calorie deficit, as opposed to skipping a meal that maybe if your body likes to have breakfast and you've been eating early, you're not going to feel great with. Maybe you feel a little irritable now because you don't have that meal.
Yeah, and it's a base, like you're saying, it's a base way to, and an easy way to just say, take that out, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? But the biggest issue is probably protein consumption, right? We look at the total body consumption throughout the day for a gram at least per pound body weight. That sacrifices if you take a full meal out. So you have to make that up in that eating window.
Yeah, and
how are you
think
gonna
about
hit
this.
that?
People have a hard time eating a gram per body weight with 3 meals and snacks. So how are you going to do it if you now have 2 meals and a snack and you're not eating after 8, right? So that's what people need to think about. I mean, we've seen some things that said, hey, you can eat more protein in a meal sitting, but now if you are a 170-pound man and we're saying, hey, you at least want to hit 145 to 150 grams of protein, and you're only having 2 meals, that means you're going to have at least 75 grams of protein and eat in lunch and dinner. Can you do that? Even if you add a shake, all right, so you chop off, right, maybe 30 grams of those two. So you're saying 160. Now you need to have 100, so you need to have 80 grams or so, right, in each one of your meals. Or excuse me, 60. 80 to get to 160, right? So now you need to have 80 grams of protein each one of those meals, and then you still have to have a shake.
Yep.
Very hard to do.
Which is, right, going on to the next big point of, like, what's your goal? Because forget about the science. We're not talking about the science, right? There's that term, if you've gotten into listening about intermittent fasting, that whole autophagy thing where, like, that's cellular repair, right? That doesn't even happen until you hit like 20, 24, 36 hours of a straight fast with no caloric intake, just water and salt. We're not even going to get into that because...
But also, I only touched on that for a second because I actually
it.
listened to Lane Norton just speak on it in a clip I watched yesterday, in that you could actually find the same autophagy just being in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone just says, like, oh, the way to get to this level of autophagy, and everyone likes to say that when they're talking about intermittent fasting, but you can accomplish the same goal by just being in a calorie deficit.
It's like not even relevant in that sense, right? So what's the main goal? Is it to lose weight? Great. Are you still maintaining the protein basis? Cool. If you're doing that, great. But, right, the rules say I can't have any calories. Can I put almond milk in my coffee? Right?
Yeah.
Do it. What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you sacrificing that for an overarching goal of just losing weight? What is that doing, right? Like, what is your real overarching goal as opposed to nitpicking all the ins and outs of, like, that doesn't matter. It's the 3 drinks you're going to have later within your window with the cheeseburger because you think you can eat that because you're fasting.
And
forget about it.
And that's
right?
the issue,
Forget
right?
about it.
It's what is your goal? If your goal is digestion, right, or feeling good, right? So maybe in the morning your stomach doesn't digest as well, so you don't like to eat something early. Great. Don't do it. Find a way to get your nutrients in later and avoid that breakfast if that's how you feel. Or if you just don't feel like you need it, sure, don't do it. Right? Make sure that you're making up for the nutrients that you need in those later meals. But if you're only doing it for weight loss, and then now you're sacrificing putting almond milk or a heavy cream or something in your coffee just because you're trying to lose weight doing intermittent fasting, you're just causing yourself more stress.
Where's the focus here?
Yeah.
It's kind of bullshit because where's the focus, right? What are you doing?
Exactly.
And are you even are you waking up hungry? Also, for those people that are, I know that I've dialing in and actually intentionally taking a block for myself the past few months to eat every single meal and eat breakfast every day and actually do that, right? Not eat before 11 or 12. I'm eating 8, 9 a.m., right? I used to force that as a kid. College, thought breakfast is the most important meal, right? But I was just overeating calories anyway.
There's
so
also something with
right?
the market where we say 3 meals, right? There's someone saying, hey, let's get people to buy a box cereal or
whatever.
Grain or bakery foods, right? Just to make breakfast a meal, right? It's just food and the time when you're eating it.
It doesn't even matter in that sense. It's just like, look at the whole day. If you're eating like crap, you're going to feel like crap anyway, so fasting isn't even going to matter because it's just going to force you to eat less crap, and you're eating just crap within a window.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't matter. But I'm waking up hungry. I know that I'm working out harder, eating more calories, waking up hungry. I knew I wanted to eat more calories, but I didn't need to necessarily not eat in the morning because it actually felt good digestive-wise to eat, right? But the term of listen to your body, right? When your hunger hormone sets in, That's almost on a rhythm, just like your sleep patterns are on a rhythm, right? Why do you get tired at a certain time at night? It's because of your sleep pattern circadian rhythm. Similar with your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. Ghrelin is your hunger starvation hormone. Leptin is your satiety hormone for when you're full. You don't want to eat that. If you've ever eaten something because you thought you had to eat, but you were already full and you got bloated and you're like burping up, tasting the food, right? Probably because your body wasn't ready to be fed that time, right? If you're surpassing yourself and you're extremely hungry and you almost feel like you're into that hangry state, that's made for your body scientifically so that you can go out and kill an animal with aggression and feed yourself primally, right? You're supposed to be searching violently for food. So the next time your fiance gets a little hangry, it's meant to happen.
I feel like that was a personal anecdote.
It's okay. But love you, but it's true, right? It's made for that. So it's kind of interesting. It's like if we're not listening to our bodies, we're not feeding our bodies correctly, we're putting ourselves in these windows to make all these rules, to not work out as efficiently, to work out early while we're fasting, to be more stressed, to sleep less, to do all these things, and we're not hitting our goals still.
Yeah.
What is the point of all this?
And I think that's the biggest overarching thing, right? If it's think about what your goals are and just make it simple. Right, so if I'm trying to get lean for summer, I know that I need to move my body, and I know that I need to be in a slight calorie deficit. If I prefer removing a meal, I got to know that I got to get my nutrients in a different time. If I'm okay having 3 meals, I like that, my body's good for it, just decrease the calories a little bit. Like that's it. It can just be that simple. Obviously, some people have outside factors that may be affecting that. And I would say talk to someone, right? Have a deeper conversation with a registered dietitian. But if that's not your case, right, don't think you have to go to the extreme of going into some fad diet or removing a meal. No, just decrease the calories slightly and then check in. Okay, I did this for 2 weeks. Is my body responding? Is it not? Okay, now I know I need to do something different. But it can just be that simple as opposed to, forcing yourself to be in this place where you're removing these things that you enjoyed and now you're not even doing a meal that maybe you love breakfast, the way you start your day. Don't just remove it because you think you have to intermittent fast in order to lose weight.
Right. So focus on the goal. Why are you doing it? And are you doing it right? If you're going to intermittent fast, are you waking up extremely hungry? Probably don't intermittent fast, right? You'll notice that maybe if you had a really extreme workout the night before and you're waking up hungry that day, feed yourself. If you're not waking up hungry the next morning, don't feed yourself.
Yeah, I remember.
Listen to your body.
Yeah, there was definitely a time where intermittent fasting was just kind of like, was blowing up.
Yeah.
I tried it for a little bit. It was probably like 2017. And I can't say
that was when I tried it, actually.
Yeah.
It was Greg O'Gallagher with Keno Body.
Yeah. It was blowing up. He gives great tips. Just being in the industry, someone that's around health and fitness, you want to try that. You want to see what's going on. Is my body going to respond well to this? Do I see the kind of the added benefits that people are talking about? So I did. I tried for a while, and I enjoyed it for a little bit, but I know for me, I like breakfast.
Yeah.
Right? So I also enjoy having the coffee in the morning and having that small window where my body kind of I feel a little lighter.
Yeah.
That feels good for me. But I enjoy having breakfast, and that's just a way to start my day. So I was like, all right, I'm just kind of killing myself to do this.
Well, you eat French toast and pancakes.
Well, yeah, that's because you should enjoy breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day.
Right.
But I remember telling my then girlfriend, now wife, mother of my children, like, try it, right? Like, I'm going to do this, like, 8-hour window. She fucking hated it, right? Like, she was like, there was no shot she was doing this. She was like, she would be hangry. She was like, there's no, like, she's like, I waited, right? We were trying to do that 11, like 12. I was going to 12. She was like, if I said till 10.
You're like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, she's like, oh, do I need to do it? Like, no. I was like, no, you don't need to do this, right? But that was it, right? Just like listen to it. It's like you don't have to do this thing because that's not the only way to accomplish it, right? There are a million ways to skin a cat, as I say, right? But make it simple, and you definitely don't have to go the route of intermittent fasting just to lose weight.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So focus on your goals, right? First and foremost. Put those first. Line it up. Be intentional with what you're eating and how you're eating and what you're doing. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
Don't stress yourself out on doing keto, doing intermittent fasting, doing this. Those things are simply small short-term methods to fulfill short-term goals when you really want to fulfill a long-term goal and live a better lifestyle. Yeah. Right? So use it when you want to use it. Try it when you want to try it. Still make sure you eat enough and do enough, but I'm going to say one thing real quick, personal kind of
stay in it
notation, right? Intentionally eating more for myself and waking up more hungry to eat more, right? And getting more out of my workouts has been crazy beneficial. I've felt amazing. I feel like for years since intermittent fasting, I got on the high of feeling great while fasting, but some days I literally was eating low carb, trying to cut some weight. It was somewhat successful, right? I dropped weight, I did everything, but I was meeting protein goals. I was eating a lot within the window that I was eating, but some days I was like 3, 4 p.m. and I almost didn't want food. Mm-hmm. I was actually good. I was like riding on the high of intermittent fasting. I was through the window, and my stress hormones went up to the point where like, all right, like he hasn't found his hunted food yet, right? Yeah. Primarily, so it's like, let's keep him going. Let's give him an energy boost.
But did your energy feel low?
My energy felt higher, almost like a high, like an adrenaline high without food, but I would wake up kind of overlaid off of hunger and not be as energetic with my lifting and being as productive. It wasn't able to sustain it, right? And I feel like I got into a hovering back and forth of like fasting a lot, but then trying to gain weight while fasting, which is doable. Depends on when you're working out. Are you fed before your workouts? Are your workouts quality? Because you'd rather overfeed 300 calories to be able to burn and use those calories in the workout, right? To push it another 20% than to pull yourself back. So I feel like, I've said it to you, I feel more full when I'm eating more carbs, eating more food, and it almost feels shitty to lean out because you're sacrificing strength. But I feel like I hovered in the middle for so long with fasting, but trying to gain, but also trying not to do too much, right? Where it's like pick one or the other and go hard on that side for a little while, but put in the work just as much as you're eating if you're trying to gain.
Yeah,
use
it.
Yeah, put in the work just as much as you're trying to lose if you're trying to lose, because you don't want to pull back too much, right? But within that window, protein, calories need to be high enough within that window.
Yeah, and even on my end, right, thinking about just what could be considered like diet too. So years after like even doing the intermittent fasting thing, I'd even tried more of what was a little more animal based, right? A little more paleo.
Okay.
Right, and it was really just kind of up in the fat, up in protein, decreasing the carbs. And like my strength days just suffered.
Yeah.
So like I felt good. I liked the way I liked the food, but like my strength days were just not good. So and maybe you got to give yourself a little longer to get used to that. But I was like, I don't care enough to just be in this area of the way I'm eating to stay here and let my workout suffer for this long.
Yeah.
So just scrapped it, and right within weeks my workouts were better. Right. Yeah. Just introducing more carbs pre-workout felt better. Right, so know where your goals are, right? I think and listen, right? Because hey, some people respond better also to a lower carb or without a meal. So if your body responds well to that, listen and feel it out for a little bit. Also, on the other end of that, if your body, you may be in a calorie deficit right now and you're not losing weight, and maybe your body needs a little more nutrients in order to help you build muscle, in order to help you recomp and get the body that you want. So try that if you feel like you're plateauing a little bit, and listen to your body. You don't have to drastically add a bunch of calories, but add a little bit of carb before the workout, add a little more protein.
Yeah.
And listen, maybe your body then rewards you during those workouts, right? And you start to see something happen. So listen to the body. So make a change, listen to the body, and see how it responds.
Yeah, I love that. It's a good way to cap it. So once again, be intentional about it. That's it. Don't start working out and then start intermittent fasting the same time while you're doing keto and you're trying some other diet.
Too many things happening at once.
Pick one. Yeah. Eat enough. Just start working out for 3 months. Then try something else for the next 3 months. Give yourself time. Right? Yeah. So don't overwhelm yourself. But thanks for listening in. Another little podcast between Ty and I with intermittent fasting. If you've tried it, we'd love to hear your comments on your success with it, right? The negatives about it that you've experienced if you have. But love to hear it, right? If you guys want to hear anything else specifically, diet, nutrition focused, workout focused, lifestyle focused, whatever, leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. So
let us know. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you.